Decided to record a match on the test server showing off the new Centurion model. So it looks pretty decent, but they did forget a couple things. It's missing the thermal sleeve on the gun barrel, which is pretty much the most distinctive visual feature of any Cold War British tank. I'm surprised they left it off. And the canvas cover on the gun manlet, I'm surprised they didn't put that on either. Given the increased detail they're working with, I would have thought both those things would naturally be on there, but I guess I was wrong. Either way, it still looks pretty nice. So, Fisherman's Bay, not a bad map for a Centurion. Head to my usual spot up on the hill and run interference there with the enemy mediums, maybe get some shots into their heavies. As you can see, there's quite a few T-54s around, but not nearly as many as there were in iterations 1 and 2. See that horseman suspension at work there. Doesn't look too bad. Tracks aren't bad either. Much more detailed now. This is test, and I did have a rather high ping and some packet loss, so my driving and shooting are pretty wonky this match. Now, just there you saw A, a terrible shot, and B, one of the many bugs that Iteration 3 introduced, which is the Centurion can see its own tracks in sniper mode, which looks fucking ridiculous. I assume it's not intentional. Maybe they thought they could get away with it, but not on a tank with 10 degrees of gun depression. So I spot the IS-8 over here and decide to move in on him. I know the T-30 is not going to have shots on me in this position. You can see, not only can you see your own tracks in sniper mode, they don't move. Let's see if I can make this replay a little smoother. IS-8's still not paying attention, and he's not carrying a fire extinguisher either. That's the end of him. So, while I'm just driving around, milling around here trying to get shots, I'm going to go over a couple of things that happened to the Centurion. First of all, while I shoot this AFK guy, the angle of the turret roof, just in front of the machine gun, and of the upper front plate, as you can probably tell, has been increasing, or, sharpened significantly, so it's a much better angle now. Before, I think it was about 45 degrees. Now it looks like it's about, I don't know, 50, 55 from the vertical. Not bad. The thickness has remained constant on those two parts. The thickness of the turret, though, has been changed. The front of the turret is no longer 165, it's now 152. The gun mantlet is now 152 at its thickest, and the edges of it are much thinner. The turret sides are now down from 112 to 88, turret rear as well. So overall it's been a nerf to the armor, particularly where it matters on the turret face. You can see me looking around trying to work out where these shots are going into me. And that's the problem. The Centurion relies almost entirely on its extremely bouncy turret. And with these changes, they've rather reduced its ability to do that. They also slightly shrunk the gun mantlet, not by much, but by just enough for it to be a problem. Now, I was all doom and gloom when I found this out, especially because I had a couple of terrible matches on test with the Cent, but I'm not sure, honestly. The improvements to the turret roof and front plate probably won't do a lot for the tank, but they're nice, they're better than nothing. The hit to the turret armor is going to be a problem, I fear. You can see a bug here on 9.0 as well. If you auto-aim somebody in the replay, the reticle doesn't actually track their tank, it tracks the ground that you were aiming at before you auto-aim them. Don't know where that shot went. So anyway, you can see I've been penned through the front of my turret there, just under the gun mantlet. It remains to be seen how this changes the Centurion's performance on the live server. I suspect it's going to become harder to play. Maybe I might not be able to wreck pubbies so hard in it. Hopefully it won't be a real problem, but think that if Wargaming are going to do armor nerfs, because A, they have more detail to work with now, and B, this is a historical change. The Cent 7.1 had a thinner turret than what's currently represented on the live server. But if they're going to do these historical changes, like they also did to the IS-3 and the T-54, which arguably those two did need nerfs, so those two I think are fine, but with tanks like the Centurion that are wholly reliant on their armor, as it is in the game right now, I honestly think Wargaming should be doing something else to compensate for it. Maybe a slight DPM buff to the Centurion. It's got the lowest DPM in Tier 9. I don't see how that could do any harm. Or an improvement in its aim time, so it can, do its vertical peek and poke thing with less time sitting around in the open. That would be nice too. Just little things to try and counterbalance the fact that it's now lost a portion of what made it so strong in the first place. Centurion certainly didn't need a nerf. It wasn't overperforming by any metric. Maybe individual players were overperforming in it. I mean, I was certainly doing well in mine. I know Funky J-Rob was in his too. But I don't know. I really hope that either they have the same kind of attitude towards rebalancing all the other tanks and it kind of evens out in the end, or they actually start compensating for this kind of thing. Definitely the IS-3, which has been nerfed so many times and is still a very strong tank, and the T-54, they both needed armor nerfs. The Tiger, probably not. It needed a DPM nerf. I haven't actually had a look at the Panther's new armor model yet. The T-3485 looks basically the same as it used to be, just with more detail. The Panthers, I don't know. But the most noticeable changes were the T-54 and this. So, in the T-54's case, probably warranted, although I should note now that the front of the T-54's turret can be punched through almost anywhere by a Centurion. The Centurion I don't think deserved this, or if you're going to reduce the thickness of its turret armor, which it relies upon so heavily, just give it a DPM buff, give it a aim time improvement, give it something small just to balance it out. Because I really like this tank, as you can probably tell. It's one of my favorites, and I don't want to end up not playing it because I'm getting frustrated and feeling like I can't do what I should be able to do in it. This tank hasn't been touched balance-wise since the day it came onto the test server, as far as I'm aware, and so it's going to take some adjusting too, but we'll see how we go. Obviously, being on test, a lot of people are shooting gold, and I'm lagging like fuck, so maybe on the live server it won't make a difference. Maybe it'll actually be an improvement because of the improved slopes on the hole in the turret roof, which will definitely be handy when hull down. Who knows? I guess we'll have to see, but for now I'm rather worried at the precedent this sets. And at any rate, we'll soon see how it stacks up against the Cent 1, which hasn't had its armor changed at all.